It's the 13th of July 2014, guys. Again, what difference does the time make? It's only a number. And I was just sitting there this afternoon after dinner, and I managed to turn on RT News and just grab a few of the headlines. One of them was the German Chancellor Merkel has dismissed the CIA station for tapping a mobile phone, and they've also refused to give her NSA file that they've built up on her. And her argument is, if we're allies, why are you spying on us? And I've got to say, why are they spying on Merkel if she's supposedly an ally of them? Another story was Putin, that has recently wiped off billions of Cuba's debt. Up to about 90% of the debt he's written off, and I think that the only reason he's done this is because he's actually building up allies against Western countries and NATO. Not only has he done that, but he's also went to Argentina to discuss £1 billion worth of energy deals. Again, another recent enemy of the UK. We went to war over the Falkland Islands with Argentina, and I think that Putin's only doing this to build up allies. I think what is going on is, as you can see in this picture, they're all in it together. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust Putin, although he does appear to be a little bit more honourable than the others in the photo, but even himself I have to question his behaviour when you find out that he recently worked for the KGB. That's not a problem, but the fact is now he has a nice little tidy sum of about £45 billion in his own account. And like I say, what I think's going on, especially when you see that China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, Argentina and Cuba, and there's a lot of other countries now that are joining up together to try and get a joint effort to challenge the Western economy and take a global stance, and in doing so remove the United States as a global currency. They're all getting together, but I've always said this, they always work like this, and they do it in a reason that enables them to manipulate the market. They know that Europe is on its back and borrowed up to the hilt, that it's on the point of collapse. They also know that America is. So what they needed to do was strengthen the eastern countries, such as Russia's economy, China's economy and all that, in order to have a pendulum where they can swing it in favour of strengthening up the eastern currencies, such as those China, Russia and all that, and then weakening Europe and the United States. Whilst they do that, they make a massive profit, and then they switch it round again. This is just what they're doing now, only that I feel that there is a few other things involved this time. I feel that there could be at some point in the near future an escalation of war which could break out into the Third World War. I don't think for a minute, we've discussed this with a few other people that are interested in this topic, that they would actually nuke territories. They might use tactical nuclear weapons of lower yield in certain areas, just to drive home the message that this is a serious war and get people all panicky and frightened. But they won't contaminate large quantities of the Earth's surface, because they need it in order to grow the crops and vegetables. If you start contaminating all of it, not only if there was a large immediate or a moderate exchange of nuclear weapons, it would cause a thermal nuclear winter in any case, where temperatures would drop to 20 degrees across all regions of the Earth. They wouldn't do that. But there is, as we know, an overpopulated planet, and at some point in their plan of grand schemes, they are going to do something about this. And this is what I feel could be coming up in the not too distant future, and I do believe that it could quite possibly be sparked off with the Ukraine. Now, Russia recently have condemned the Ukraine for bombing Russian territory. That's right, a Ukrainian bomb managed to go over the boundary and blow up somebody's house and kill a Russian citizen, and Russia have vowed that there will be harsh consequences for those actions. But what they're going to do is they are going to look into this and investigate the full story before carrying out their actions. I respect that they do that and they don't just go in guns blazing, but at some point Russia is going to be pulled into the Ukraine, and this is what actually NATO wants to happen, in order to get this smoke screen going. You see, guys, I really do mean this when I say this, that it is the innocent civilians, ourselves, that are going to get caught up in this, while these fuckers wax themselves rich and take and pillage all the wealth off of all of us lot. And that's exactly what they've been doing. The other thing is this saga at the moment that's going on in the British government with paedophilia, and 114 files or so that have gone missing. Isn't that just coincidental? This is them covering up their tracks for each other and closing ranks. And it's just a fast. This is just exactly what goes on in these Western worlds. Anyhow, why is there so many perverts for a start, and paedophiles within the British government and other westernised governments? I think personally that they are chosen because of their little dark secrets, because some of them are kiddie fiddlers and perverts and paedophiles and rapists, and the reason why they are chosen is because they have something over them from day one, and that is why they're given the job in the first place. The other one that I noticed was the Gaza bloodbath that's taking place at the moment. Heavy-handed tactics, overkill in my opinion, and yet these people in Israel claim to be God's chosen people. Let me tell you this about Israel and the Jews. They could have let Jesus Christ go, whose only crime back 2,000 years ago was that he claimed to be God's only begotten Son, and instead of letting Jesus Christ go, they saved a known rapist. That's right, they crucified Jesus and they saved Barabbas, the known rapist. Now, there's no surprise that nothing's really changed in 2,000 odd years. The Jews and the Bilderberg group are all in it together. They're all secured in the highest places of any department within the governments of the Western world, and lo and behold, in the British parliamentary members of parliament, there are paedophiles in there. What I'm saying is, the Jews are still running the show, and their right hand men are still perverts and paedophiles. Nothing has changed, and they're still persecuting people for doing the right thing. Who am I talking about? Julian Assange, Edward Manning, and Snowden. Guys, nothing changes. History repeats itself. I don't think it was any coincidence that Hitler was going about doing what he was doing back in the Second World War with the Jews for any reason. I've actually heard some personal accounts of people back in those days talk about what Jews was up to, and it's not too different from what they're up to now. They were still going about their business in the same manner as which they go about it today, and that is, they don't mind even if they kill 10 or 20 people in order to make a little bit of profit, or a shekel as they might claim. I mean, we only have to look at the Twin Towers when they were brought down. Most people now know, that claim to be awake, that they was brought down not by terrorists but by very wealthy Jewish people in order to make an insurance claim. And that is what they did. I believe Lloyd's of London had to pay them out billions of pounds in insurance money when they was brought down. And we all know that there was 2,000 plus people that died on that day. If it had been left an hour later, there would have been a considerable amount more people in those buildings. So don't tell me that was not an inside job, because when Building 7 comes down and the BBC report it moments before it actually falls down behind them, then they knew it was coming down. So this was an organised crime, to say the least. Getting back to the Jews being God's chosen people, my thoughts on that, what it says in the Bible, well, I believe that they are definitely God's chosen people, because if someone had killed my only son, then you're damn right, I would want nobody to issue or dispense justice on those people other than myself. And I believe that that's what is meant by they are God's chosen people. Let's face it, they was told they would never own their own land on this planet, and the Orthodox Jews have accepted that, but it's the Zionist Jews that now run Israel in the manner in which they do. Now, we have seen bloodshed caused by this little country, that where there has been wars for thousands of years over that territory, that little bit of territory, and we've seen just recently how they've behaved themselves. I'm talking about the flotillas that they opened fired and killed protesters on, that was only delivering aid to Palestine. There was nothing in them shipments that they weren't allowed to have. Most of it was aid, and they attacked them, killed them in international waters. And we've seen this onslaught over the years taking place in Gaza, on the Gaza Strip. We've seen Israel stealing land to increase their territory, building new modern houses for Israelis to live there. This is just, a disgusting nation of people that have their fingers all in the pies throughout the world and within governments at the top levels. And like I say, they look at most of us like a bunch of animals. They use the word goyim as well as a lot of other words for us, and they don't mind funding both sides of a war because it eliminates the goyim in total. And whilst they do it, they make a shekel, and that's good business policies for them. This is the people, right, that Hitler was doing what he did back in 1942 to them. And like I said, I've heard first accounts of what people said about the Jews back then. They was leaving them no room to have any investment or any profitable career. They was keeping it all for themselves and keeping it all within their corners. And what has been left since 1942 is a legacy of persecution by the Jews, according to them. There was the Great Holocaust and all the other things. Well, what do you expect when you use such words as goyim and describe everyone as a non-Jew as a goyim and cattle? How do you expect to be treated? And when we see what you're doing in Israel, and these are the Zionist Jews, and I believe there is something written in the Holy Bible with regards to this. And it goes somewhere off the top of my head, ye that think you are Jews but you are not, you worship in Satan's, in the synagogue of Satan, or something along them lines. And I'm pretty sure he's talking about these Zionist Jews that believe they are Jewish. Only the only thing that is Jewish about these people is that they use the symbology of Judaism or Judaism and nothing else. But they do worship the coin or the shekel or the dollar. And when it comes to making a few dollars or a few shekels or a few coins, there is nothing that they will not do, because these people look at us like animals. I'll just leave it with this, guys. The German swastika was a symbol of peace. It is actually, if you look it up, a cross, the symbol of a cross. And I'll end it here, but this is what I'm talking about. This world is run by people that do not show any logical reasoning when it comes to improvement. And we can all see the Western world deteriorating by the day, It doesn't seem another day goes by where another important story has captured our interests and showed us something more stark. Well, all I can say to you guys is don't get inert to it. Don't be anaesthetised to what you see. Start using that second step of logic, which is acting logically, and not just the first step, which is understanding logic. It's time, because it can go very bad from here on out, and I think it will do, because I know the level of engagement from a lot of people on YouTube alone, and I can see it going down that road. But if I know something, a danger, like somebody said, if I know this ship is sinking and it's late at night and I know half the passengers on this ship are asleep, then there's no harm in waking them. Perhaps we won't be able to patch up the ship to stop it sinking, but at least those people won't die in their sleep. And that's what this is about. There is some serious problems, and I've talked about some serious truths here. I do really believe that the 4 people that you're looking at in this photograph are all working for the same agenda, and that is reduce population numbers whilst making a right raking of money for themselves. There's some sick people in the world, and I wouldn't look any further at these times than the Bilderberg group, because they want to conduct secret meetings where no press are allowed in. Yet these are the most wealthiest and influential people on this planet, and when people have such wealth, they have a lot of power, and they are controlling the way things work for the future, and it will be for their interests. And proof of that is the fact that we are not allowed to hear what takes place in those meetings. Now, this isn't just a load of wealthy people having a banquet and saying, haven't we done well? These people are actually planning what takes place in the future for this world, and I guarantee you it will not have your best interests at hand. If we heard what went on in those meetings, there would be uproar and we would stop it, and they know it, and that's why we are not. That's why they have the security around those Bilderberg meetings that they do, to keep our ears out from hearing what is taking place in them meetings. It's all about keeping them on top of the pyramid, guys, because we're the foundation stones. We support them at the end of the day, and they need to control us, they think. This has got to stop, because humanity will not progress any further as long as this attitude is adopted by these few people. Like I've said before, they're ill. They've got an illness that they don't realise. Their addiction to wealth and money is no different to that of a heroin addict to heroin, or an alcoholic to alcohol. There's no difference. Yet if we allow these people to steer humanity, it will be like a drunk going down the road, and at some point he will crash it. And this is exactly where they're going. They believe they can keep controlling this situation. I know they're afraid of the majority of people on this planet, because in a blink of an eye, if they really came out and told us what they thought and what their plans are, right, there would be, alone in the out of the 60 million people in the UK, or 70 million, there would be 10 million people down on that Parliament Square within no time, and these MPs would be swinging like pom-poms off London Bridge, like a Christmas decoration string of them. They're murderers, they're drug dealers, they're arms dealers. They're not elected members of Parliament or presidents of the country. These are businessmen, and the worst kind, the mafia type. They use the British Army and the American Army and all the European NATO forces as assassination squads. And you know it as well as I know it. When you sign up, you swear an oath to protect, right, in this country, the British from invading forces, or in the American army, it's along the lines that you swear to uphold and protect the Constitution. Tell me how you're protecting the Constitution whilst attacking a compound in India to kill Osama bin Laden, and that's if that ever happened, because we never seen the body. You know, they just said, oh, we've given them appropriate burial at sea, like how they did. They use organisations such as the CIA to do all the dirty business, to cause wars. It was the CIA that started the inferno in the Ukraine in the first place, and, you know, most people know that. There was paid thugs, to, you know, that was paid by the CIA to throw bricks, petrol bombs and such, that caused the inferno that is taking place right now in the Ukraine. This is how they play the game. They play one off against the other, and they sit there and profit from it either way. ISIS is an American Department of Defence, believe it or not. I've seen it myself. I've seen what their criteria is, how they're involved in foreign relations, and this is exactly how that, you know, elite force came. Well, I won't say elite force, but how that force got armed in Libya was by the CIA dropping off weapons and arming them, and they came out of Libya into Iraq, and now they've took over Iraq again. It is all done by a pen pushing, shirt wearing con man like these four in the picture. We've got people like Tony Blair walking round, and George Bush, that have committed mass atrocities, murders of human life, probably more than Alexander the Great killed. Millions of children, family members, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers, nans and granddads, nephews, nieces, so on, across the range, guys, that was asleep one night in their apartment, just like recently, I dare say, in Gaza, and next minute they was blew apart. A whole family destroyed by one bomb for no reason at all. No real reason at all. These aren't pinpoint strategical incision attacks that are taking place in Gaza. There is no real military target in Gaza. It is just the general public, and 90% of those general public are what have been killed over the last few days with the aerial bombardment that Israel has carried out on them. Israel have got nuclear weapons, which I dare say was supplied by America originally. They're not even supposed to have. There is a treaty that stops any other country ever allowing another country to increase, or they're not even allowed to help them develop nuclear weapons. So how has Israel obtained nuclear weapons, a nuclear arsenal? I believe the amount that they've got is 400 missiles, ICBMs. How have they got them if they're not supposed to be helped by anyone else? There is only one candidate that could have possibly helped them, and that is the Americans. Not the American people, but the American cartel that is running the governments right now, and it starts with Barack Obama and whoever funded his campaign to get him in power, and it also goes through the houses of Senate and the House of Representatives, and it also, you know, I'm not just accusing, you know, the American governments. I want to make it clear it's not the American people I accuse for this atrocity, because they are going to be the pigs in the middle. You know, if ever there is going to be a nuclear exchange, it's going to be on American soil. That's for sure. We need to spread the awareness of what is taking place on this planet. It is a rarity. I mean, let me just say this, guys. There isn't one other planet that has what this planet has out of the 9 planets that are there right now. And as far as neighbouring planets that are like ours, well, We haven't yet found one. You know, as stewards, as the intelligent species on this planet, we owe it to every other species to conduct our conduct in a much better manner in which we are doing today. And if these people that are in power are the ones that are only interested in wealth and money and nothing else, all I can say is they have got to go. By whatever means. They've got to go for humanity's sake. They've got to go for every other biodiversity on this planet's sake, and for the planet itself. They have got to go. And if ever we are to mix with other races that have the technology to get to our planet, these people have to go first. And I have always said this, I truly believe there are air-to-market beacons surrounding our solar system, warning intelligent life forms to stay away, because this is a planet that still hasn't sorted its shit out. It hasn't evolved in the manner to not only understand logic and logical reasoning, but to act logically once it does so. And as long as that is the case, there will be no communication, because the last thing they want is to come here and show us the technology that brought them from their world to this world, right? Only for us to duplicate that technology and cram it up with fucking weapons, because that is exactly the mentality of these people. Whenever there's a new technology, it is first weaponized before it is made use for peaceful means. But it wasn't a nuclear generator they built with the first, discovery of this fissile material. It was a nuclear bomb. And it wouldn't be any different with technology that would enable them to travel, to glorious speeds to other parts of this universe. I promise you guys, it is, I think, approaching a time where something is going to happen on this planet on a grand scale. And I just hope it is in the favour of the people like me and you that are not hell-bent on destroying, murdering, raping and pillaging the wealth of others. I'm pretty sure that if you think like me, we can all link up together and progress forward together. And on that note, guys, I'm going to say what I always do. If you've not put up any provisions for your family in case one of the many things that threaten humanity right now or your family's lives, then you should do so right now. And the only other thing I'll say is be safe, and bye for now.